All right, so I just still want to kind of look back at the PFF grades, even though they're highly controversial. I know I had a real problem with Jaden's grade last week, where they had guys like Anthony Richardson ahead of him. They had Will Levis ahead of him last week. This week, Jaden, very high grade. He wasn't the highest rated guy. Terry McLaurin and Zach Ertz both had 74.9 grades. Jaden was just 0.2 of a point behind him at 74.7.
That's kind of crazy since Ertz
Nick Allegretti
had 2 catches and was banged up and left the game.
Yeah. Well, it's just in those plays. That's how we graded out.
That was a great catch.
Allegretti was up there. Zacchaeus, Wiley, Crowder. It is interesting that their second lowest rated offensive player was the fill-in for Tyler Biadasz, Michael Dieter. Ben Sinnott had the lowest grade at a 44, but Michael Dieter, and whatever, he's a backup at this point. He was their second lowest guy. Hopefully Biadasz is healthy this week, and because I do think that greatly impacted. We can ask B-Rob. I'm sure he won't say anything negative about the backups, but it's a different deal when your center's not there. And I can remember last year, even when Hal was struggling, and I think it was Robert, when we had Robert on the show, he's like, people don't understand that when you get a breakdown in the center of your line, you almost have no shot.
Yeah,
you almost have no shot. And of course, Jaden was sacked a bunch. It's kind of interesting that he still rated a 74.7, even though, did he have 2 fumbles that he recovered? They were kind of controversial. I don't even know if they counted as fumbles, where he's like stretching the ball out. It happened at least once, maybe twice.
I think. I don't know if they were actually considered fumbles.
Yeah, they might have said he was down.
I think they said he was down. Yeah,
but and then he had the 8 sacks, but still good enough to be rated that highly. Defensively, Johnny Newton had a great score. He had a 75.1. Mike Sanderstill and Marshawn Lattimore, just kind of who you would think. Bobby Wagner right behind him. Dude, I think we have to bring Bobby Wagner back.
He's been big. Has he only signed a 1-year deal? I'd have to look at that.
I thought it was like 1 year's $5 million.
All right.
But maybe it's why.
Sounds right.
I think we have to bring him back. He's just the heart and soul. I mean, Joe Witt Jr. calls him the leader of the defense. Joe Witt's given him. He has carte blanche that he calls his own plays defensively. If they're not coming in fast enough, or he wants to make a change, Bobby Wagner could do that. So it's just kind of interesting.
But I will say
to look at that.
The offensive line certainly has to be. They got to play like a starting unit. You can't have a bunch of backups playing against Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and Nolan Smith and all those guys against the Eagles, because those guys are going to bring it. So hopefully they'll be all healthy for Sunday's game. So Sunday's game against the Eagles is a big one. I feel like we're kind of free rolling on this. I know Valdez doesn't like it when I say that, but I don't think it's critical that we win the game. Be nice. We're only 3.5 point dogs. I thought we would be bigger dogs, to be honest with you. It's a 1:00 kickoff at Northwest Stadium. And yeah, that's here in DC. Although I know it makes you think it'd be like in Seattle or something. Nope. It's here. It'll be on Fox. Huge game. Eagles come to town. They got a 10-game winning streak. Yep. This, hopefully they get a little healthier. As we mentioned, we get Biadasz back. He's still kind of up in the air. Both Jeremy Chin and Zach Ertz are in the concussion protocol. Even though you saw Chin literally get knocked out, by most accounts, for whatever it's worth, he was feeling a little bit better after the game, kind of walking around telling people he was okay. Meanwhile, Zach Ertz wasn't in the locker room, and they were kind of addressing his situation. Yeah. So maybe just from the outside looking in, maybe Chin has a better shot at playing this week. Yeah, I'm gonna guess at least one of those guys is gonna be out, if not both. Yeah. Hey, Valdez, I'm just looking at the schedule for this weekend, and of course, you got a couple Saturday games, including your boys playing the Steelers. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm guessing, and you're not going to be happy, I'm guessing that Tom Brady's going to be on that call.
Is it the 4:25 or?
It's the second game on Saturday.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be on that call because I'm just looking at unless he's only on Sunday games, but there's not a big Sunday Fox matchup. They got the Vikings Seahawks, so maybe it's going to be that game.
Is that the game of the week? Is that declared the game of the week?
I haven't seen that yet. I would think the game of the week would be Steelers Ravens.
I assumed Tom was going to be on the call, but I can Google and see if it's.
He's either going to be on that call or he's going to be on the Vikings Seahawks game.
I'll watch it on mute.
Well,
or could he be on the Eagles Commanders game? But that's a 1:00 game. I don't think he does. Does he do 1:00 or always 4:00?
I don't know. I thought, didn't he do a 1:00 last week? Maybe not. Either way, I tweeted kind of in a fit of anger after the game that no one's going to pick Washington this week against the Eagles. Basically turning out to be true. I'm looking at some various reports. A writer from the Arizona Republic, he's got the Eagles 27-20. Somebody from bookies.com. I'm just looking at picks who they have. He has the Eagles to cover against the Commanders. Sports Betting Dime. Have you ever heard of that website? They've got the Eagles over the Commanders. ESPN has the Eagles with a 58% chance to beat the Commanders. Just everyone's picking the Eagles. We're literally everybody's underdog this week.
Yeah. I mean, they've won 10 straight. They got, an MVP candidate. Hurts is playing great. They got 2 legit receiver. I mean, their defense is one of the best in the league.
We're coming off a bit of a dud.
Yeah.
So
you can see why.
Yeah, you could see it. My buddy Stoner, he always sends me these different sort of statistics of what's going on. And here's a scenario how Washington can actually clinch this weekend.
Okay.
So if we win, if we beat the Eagles
to get to 10-5,
all right. Atlanta loses. Who does Atlanta have? They have somebody.
They got the Giants.
Yeah, so that's unlikely. Both of those things are unlikely, I think. But
although Atlanta, they didn't look great.
They didn't look great.
A 2-win team last night.
And then you need either the Rams or the Seahawks to lose.
Okay.
So if Washington wins, Atlanta loses to the Giants. And then the Rams or Seahawks lose.
I believe the Rams are playing in New York against the Jets. And the Seahawks, like I just mentioned, are playing at home against the Vikings, but they're probably going to be without Geno Smith. So Sam Howell's probably going to start in that game. I'm guessing.
Of course, over their last 3, if you had to guess, Washington controls their own destiny. It's in our hands. How do you guess they finished the last 3? So you've got the Eagles, the Falcons, and the Cowboys.
I think they're going to lose to the Eagles. The Falcons have been just so bad. A few weeks ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, I would have said the Falcons are going to come here and score a bunch of points, but Cousins has been so bad. Even though they've got weapons, I can't pick the Falcons right now the way they're playing. So I'm going to take the Commanders at home against the Falcons to get them to 10-6, and then the Dallas game.
Dallas is playing a lot better.
Yeah, I know, and it'll be on the road.
And they just beat us.
Man, can you imagine if that game means getting into the playoffs?
I don't think it will. I think we'll be in the playoffs already.
Possibly. We'll see. Look, if they beat the Falcons, they pretty much eliminate the Falcons.
Right.
And then the Bucs will win that division, and the Lions, Vikings, and Packers are already in, so it would come down to one of those teams in the West. You're right. If they get to 10 wins, they got a really good shot. I think they're
pretty much in.
So beat the Falcons in 2 weeks.
And then the Cowboy game probably doesn't even matter.
Probably doesn't mean anything, although we'll see. But beat the Falcons, and then you feel really good about it.
It's possible they could go 1-2, but still get in.
Sure. Yes.
I'd like to say they'll go 2-1 and beat Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And then this week, I just think we're free rolling.
Would you like them to clinch after the Falcon game and be able to rest guys if you can't move up in the wild card and be able to rest guys for that Cowboy game?
I guess, but we haven't played too well after layoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I would play guys for a half.
Right. Like a preseason game.
Play guys for a half because for whatever reason we ain't playing great. Now, how's that work? Will they have playoffs they'll have playoffs the very next week. There won't be any bye week in between or anything.
No.
Yeah.
For the wild card? No.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I would play guys, even if the game didn't particularly matter, I think I would play them for a half and then kind of rest.
Yeah. Week 18 will end on January 7th, and the wild cards start that following weekend.
Right.
So like the 13th or 14th.
The good news is we control our own destiny. The bad news is we're playing a hot Philly team, a good Philly team. You thought there maybe was some turmoil there, but I don't know. I watched that Jalen Hurts presser. Did you watch that where he sat down with the media? He's definitely hostile towards the Philly media.
Yeah, I mean,
he didn't like the reporting about a rift between him and A.J. Brown.
Yeah, because A.J. Brown came out and apparently in the locker room gave Hurts a hug and said, "We're all good, man. We're good."
Yeah.
And I just think that, I mean, I'm not saying that he was happy about the way he's been played the last couple of weeks, but he says, "Look, Hurts and I are good. We're fine." And then Hurts was targeting him early in that game this past week against the Steelers, and he scored a touchdown. So maybe everything's all good.
Look, I feel,
but even with that riff, they still won 10 straight.
Yeah.
A lot of that's because of Barkley, but and the defense.
I feel for these quarterbacks. It's the hardest job in the world. Like it's literally easier to be a brain surgeon than it is to be an elite quarterback. You got all these diva receivers bitching and moaning if they're not getting the ball. I mean, literally, receivers are a pain in the ass.
Yep.
The only one that's not is Terry. Terry's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
What a freaking great guy he is.
Terry gives 120% on every single play.
Every single play, regardless, whether you've targeted him or not.
Well, look, he's happy. I mean, he's finally got a quarterback who can throw him the ball and he's scoring touchdowns. So you can see why he's happy about that. But, yeah, I'm not surprised. Look, Philly media is just brutal.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that he was sounding off.
But we're dogs, but that's fine. We don't have to win it. We could just beat Atlanta and be fine, but man, it'd be sweet to end that 10-game winning streak.
Yeah, it's not a must win, but if you win and beat the Eagles, it surely it can catapult you into a good mindset going into the last couple weeks. Like especially against the Falcon.
We can end that whole
because that Falcon game is going to be big.
You can end the whole they just can't beat a winning team bit.